Okay, so last time you had your homework, you watched a video on modeling multiplication of fractions. Now this video is going to be on modeling division of fractions. And before we get into how to model division of fractions, I want to do a brief review on how to read a number line. So I'm going to show you two examples and we'll look at those, and then that information will be useful when we get into division. So the first example I want to show you is 1 1/2. When you start modeling this information in class, you're going to get a number line. And then when I give you an example like 1 1/2, I want you to then go and make these tick marks on the number line showing these are the halves. So when you look at this, you can see 0, 1/2, 1, 1 1/2, and so forth. And then when you read the number line, you have the whole number 1. We're going to go to the next tick mark, which is the half, and you'll know that this is where 1 1/2 is. Okay, let's look at another example. In this example, we're going to have 2 2/3. Now again, we have the same number line going to 4, and I'm going to put 2 tick marks in between the whole numbers. Now a lot of times students ask me, don't I need 3 tick marks because my denominator is 3? But if you start to look at it, you can see that you have 0, 1/3, 2/3, and then the number 1 is really 3/3. It's 3/3. So the 2 tick marks are how you're going to separate it into thirds. So I have 1/3, 2/3, then 1. So now that I can count to 1, I can go to 2 and then go to 3. So for this example, 3 2/3, you can see that the arrow is right there at the end at 3, and then the second tick mark, 2/3. So let's look at a picture about how we're going to model fraction division. So in this example, I want to divide 1 1/2 divided by 1/2. So let's start with our number line. I have my number line to go to 4. I'm going to put in those half tick marks. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to look at this very first fraction. And this fraction is telling me where to stop on the number line. So my first fraction is 1 1/2. So I'm going to pretty much draw a line there saying stop. Do not go past this point. Stop at 1 1/2. And then the second fraction is telling me the length of my arrow. Now you don't really know what I'm talking about right now, but when you see the arrows, you'll get it. So I'm going to make all of my arrows 1/2 long. So each arrow is going to go to a tick mark. So I have one arrow going to this first tick mark because this length is 1/2. Then I have a second arrow. So I have two arrows now. So I'm at 1. And then I have a third arrow. So what I'm showing you here is it took me 3 arrows to get to 1 1/2. I have one 1/2 arrow, then I have a second 1/2 arrow, and then a third 1/2 arrow. So these arrows are 1/2. They're this one tick mark long, and I get 3 of them. So my answer for this is going to be 3. The answer is how many arrows you have. So how you would check this, we're going to do it in class, is we're going to do keep, switch, flip again, because that's how we divide fractions. So as a reminder, I have to take that 1 1/2. This is on the left-hand side of your screen. I have to take that 1 1/2 and make it a mixed number. So now I'm starting with 3 halves. That's the fraction I'm keeping. I'm switching it to multiplication, and then I'm flipping this second fraction into 2/1. So now when I multiply the tops and multiply the bottoms, I get 6/2. When I simplify that, that equals 3 as a whole number. So as you can see, everything matches up. My 3 in my check step, my answer, matches how many arrows that I have. That's how you know you did it right. Your answer is going to match your arrows. Okay, we're going to show you a few of these so you kind of get an idea. Let's look at another example. So in this one, I'm using 2 2/3 divided by 2/3. I have my number line. I'm going to make those tick marks so that I can break it up into 2 2/3. Remember, the first fraction is telling you where to stop. You do not want your arrows to go past this point. So I put my stop line here at 2 2/3. No arrows past this point. My second fraction is telling me how long my arrows are going to be. So I'm going to do 1 that takes me right to the 2/3 tick mark. Then another one, it's taking me 2 more. I'm going to keep going 2 more, and then you'll see I'm going to stop. So right now I have 4 arrows. So your answer for this problem is 4. So we're going to, once again, I'm going to have you check everything. So we're going to check my answer. So I'm going to do keep, switch, flip again to check my answer. So first I have to make 2 2/3 into a mixed number, which is 8/3. So my first fraction, which I'm keeping, is 8/3. Switching it to multiplication and then flipping it. So I flipped 2/3 to make it 3/2. I flipped that second fraction. Multiply the tops to give me 24, and then multiply the bottoms to give me 6. Once I simplify this fraction, I know 6 goes into 24 4 times. Again, this is your check step. Please do this so that you know your answer is correct. This is how you know you've done everything right. My answer is 4. I drew 4 arrows to get to that point, 2 2/3, so I know I've done everything right. Okay, let's look at another example, and this one's going to have a whole number. So my example is 4 divided by 1/2. I have my number line. I'm going to put in my half tick marks so I know how far to draw my arrows. My first fraction 4 is telling me where to stop, so I'm going to draw that stop line. Do not go past this point. This is where you stop. Then my second fraction is telling me how long my arrow is going to be. So I'm going to draw a bunch of arrows that are each 1/2 on the number line long. So you'll see I got an arrow. I'm just keeping these arrows to 1/2, and you're going to keep drawing an arrow till you get to 4. Remember, 4 is telling you where to stop. Okay, I've got to 4. I'm going to count up those arrows, and it's telling me I have 8 arrows. So my answer for this problem must be 8. But again, do not assume your answer is correct. Let's do our keep, switch, flip to check it. So I have 4, which is a whole number. So over here on the left-hand side, you can see I put a 1 underneath it. So I'm starting with my first fraction. I'm keeping it the same, 4 over 1, switching it to multiplication, and then flipping that second fraction. Now I'm going to multiply the top and multiply the bottoms. When I multiply the top, 4 times 2 is 8. And when I multiply the bottoms, 1 times 1 is 1. Now anything over 1 is going to be that whole number. So 8 divided by 1 is 8. So yes, you were able to check your answer. Your answer mathematically is 8, and you have 8 arrows. So I'm going to show you one more example that looks a little bit different than the number line, and then we're going to see more of these in class. Okay, so this is your last example. It's not like the number line. We're going to use shapes, and it's different in more than one way. This time, I'm not going to give you a straight out math problem. I put it in words, and I'm asking you, how many times does 2, 6 go into 4, 6? And we're going to practice rewriting this as division in class tomorrow, but what it's going to look like is 4, 6 divided by 2, 6. So I want to find out how many times 2, 6. 2, 6 is my divisor. I want to find out how many times that goes into 4, 6. Now this time, like I said, I'm not going to show you a number line. I'm going to show you a picture. And this picture represents 4, 6. If you look, there are 6 pieces, and 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are shaded in. So 4 of my 6 pieces are shaded in. This is what I mean by 4, 6, and you saw this in the homework when we did some more practicing with modeling of fractions. So I've got 4, 6. 4, 6 is colored in. Now I want to look at this graphic and say, how many groups of 2, 6? Or how many groups of 2 shaded parts can I make? So I'm going to circle one of them. This is one group. I've circled 2 parts. And then I've circled another group. I only want to circle the things that are shaded. I do not want to circle anything that's white, because white does not represent one of the 4, 6 pieces. I just want to look at the shaded section. So I've circled one group of 2 and then a second group of 2. So my answer for this is 2. I've circled 2 things. So lastly, we're going to do our check step just to make sure that we have it right. So I started with my first fraction, which is 4, 6. I'm going to switch it to multiplication, and then I'm going to flip my second fraction, because this is the reciprocal and this is how we do division of fractions. So now that I have 4, 6 times 6/2, I'm going to multiply these so that I can get my final answer. 4 times 6 is 24, and 6 times 2 is 12. This is a fraction that you can simplify. 12 goes into 24 2 times. I strongly, strongly encourage you to do this check step. This is the best way to know that your answer is right. This is one of those things in math where you know you're going to get the answer right because you've done the check step and everything matches up. Now your homework for tonight is a little bit different. It's not specifically going to be on modeling, but go ahead and answer those questions and you'll see what it's like. But we're going to do a lot of these in class tomorrow so you can get a feel of it. But you're going to use these fractions and either draw arrows or circle groups to let you know what your answer is. Thank you.